Good evening, and welcome to Sky Tonight, your guide to the night sky. The full moon is visible tonight with an illumination of 98%. Look for it in the eastern sky after sunset. Viewers are invited to enable captions in their preferred language for local observing cities and local times. Join me for a guided tour of tonight's entire sky, from horizon to horizon. As twilight fades, Venus shines halfway up the southern sky, a bright guide to the early night. Overhead, the Hercules cluster and the Ring Nebula await, with Vega gleaming beside them. In the east, Hamal rises, marking the quiet edge of the sky. Later, Altair will ride high in the south, while the North America Nebula and Deneb fill the overhead expanse. The Alpha Capricornids streak silently above, and Mars begins to rise in the east. Before dawn, the southern Delta Aquariids add their trails, and Mercury follows low in the east. The Andromeda Galaxy stands overhead, and Saturn shines in the south. And just before we close, keep watching. Satellites will cross the moon one by one. Venus is the dazzling silver-white point halfway up the southern sky tonight. After the moon, it's the brightest object in the sky. You truly cannot miss it. Look for its steady glow near the horizon, when it's above your local horizon. In Los Angeles, New York, and London, the planet peaks around 9:35 in the evening. Because Venus shines both before dawn and after dusk, the ancient Greeks long believed they were seeing two different objects, a morning star they called Phosphorus and an evening star they called Hesperus. The Hercules cluster is a dim fuzzball located on the west side of the keystone of Hercules. Use binoculars to spot this globe of 300,000 stars, almost straight overhead tonight. Around 9:05 in the evening, the cluster is best placed in Los Angeles and New York, while in London it reaches its highest point at 9:35 in the evening. Messier 13, M13, contains approximately 300,000 stars packed into a spherical region of space, all bound together by gravity and orbiting the galactic core. Vega is the bright blue-white star almost straight overhead on summer nights. It's part of the famous summer triangle and shines with a fast-spinning brilliance surrounded by a dusty debris disk. In Los Angeles, New York, and London, this star peaks around 11 in the evening, with London seeing it above the horizon all night. Vega was also the first star whose spectrum was ever photographed. This was accomplished in 1872 by Henry Draper, opening the way for systematic spectroscopic studies of other stars. Hamal, the brightest star in Aries, is rising near the eastern horizon tonight. Follow the chain from Merak through Sheraton to find it. It's one of the 50 brightest stars in the night sky. This star climbs highest in Los Angeles at 11:16 in the evening, then the best moment moves to New York at 11 in the evening and on to London at 10:21 in the evening. The story of the Golden Fleece associated with the constellation Aries and the star Hamal is one of the most frequently invoked Greek myths in Western culture, inspiring numerous literary, artistic, and cinematic works over the centuries. The Ring Nebula is a greenish smoke-ring planetary nebula located midway between the two southern stars of the little parallelogram of Lyra, just below Vega. Use a telescope to see it clearly. In Los Angeles, New York, and London, the nebula peaks around 11:15 in the evening, while all else fades into the background. At the heart of the Ring Nebula lies the dying star's exposed core, a white dwarf so hot, with a surface temperature around 120,000 degrees Celsius, that its ultraviolet light makes the surrounding gas glow. In catalogs, it is listed as M57. Altair is the bright white star flanked by two fainter ones, forming the low corner of the summer triangle. Look high in the southern sky to find this swift-flying eagle star. Los Angeles, New York, and London all see this star reach its highest point around 12:15 after midnight, followed by no significant movement. The Qixi festival associated with Altair and Vega is still widely celebrated in modern China, Japan, and Korea. People write wishes on colorful strips of paper and hang them on bamboo trees. Alpha Capricornids meteors streak away from a point in Capricornus at its peak tonight. Look halfway up the southern sky and let your eyes wander a bit off the radiant for the longest trails. Expect about 5 meteors per hour. In Los Angeles, New York, and London, the radiant peaks around 12:50 after midnight. Deneb is the blue-white tail of the swan in the Milky Way. It marks the top of the Northern Cross and one corner of the Summer Triangle. Look almost straight overhead to find it. Los Angeles, New York, and London see this star reach its highest point around 1:05 in the morning, with London watching it stay above the horizon all night. Deneb, alongside Vega and Altair, is one of the most recognizable stars of the northern summer sky. It is easily visible even from areas with heavy light pollution due to its exceptional brightness. Tonight's featured deep sky object is the North America Nebula, a glowing hydrogen-red cloud shaped like a continent. Look east of Deneb on a dark night. It's best seen with binoculars due to its large size. Los Angeles, New York, and London see the nebula reach its highest point around 1:20 in the morning, with London keeping it visible all night. William Herschel found the glow back in 1786, but with no photograph to look at, he had no way of noticing it was shaped like a continent nobody had drawn yet from space. In catalogs, it is listed as NGC 7000. Mars is rising near the eastern horizon tonight as a distinct orange-red point. Look low in the east to find the red planet as it comes up. The planet climbs highest in Los Angeles at 2:34 in the morning, then the best moment moves to New York at 2:18 in the morning, and on to London at 1:39 in the morning. In the Star Trek universe, Starfleet's main shipbuilding facility, the Utopia Planitia Fleet Yards, seen throughout The Next Generation, Voyager, and Picard, orbits Mars, named after the real Martian plane where NASA's Viking 2 lander touched down in 1976. As the camera closes in on Mars, attention turns to the crossings of its moon Phobos across the planet's apparent disk. Phobos' first crossing of the apparent disk of Mars lasts 54 minutes. In Los Angeles, the crossing runs between 12:15 in the afternoon and 1:09 in the afternoon, with Mars above the horizon. In New York, the same first crossing happens between 3:15 in the afternoon and 4:09 in the afternoon, while Mars is above the horizon there. In London, the crossing also takes place during that time, but Mars is below the horizon. Phobos' next crossing of the apparent disk of Mars lasts 54 minutes. In London, the crossing happens between 3:54 in the morning and 4:48 in the morning, while Mars stands above the horizon there. In Los Angeles and New York, Mars is below the horizon at that time. Phobos' third crossing of the apparent disk of Mars lasts 54 minutes. In Los Angeles, the crossing runs between 3:34 in the morning and 4:28 in the morning, with Mars above the horizon. In New York, the crossing occurs between 6:34 in the morning and 7:28 in the morning, while Mars is above the horizon there. In London, the crossing happens between 11:34 in the morning and 12:28 in the afternoon, with Mars above the horizon. Southern Delta Aquariids meteors streak away from a point in Aquarius, also at its peak tonight. Look halfway up the southern sky and keep your gaze moving to spot the longer trails. Expect about 25 meteors per hour. In Los Angeles, New York, and London, the radiant peaks around 3 in the morning. Mercury is rising near the eastern horizon tonight. Look low in the east to spot this elusive planet as it appears just above the horizon. Watch in Los Angeles first at 4:38 in the morning. By 4:26 in the morning, it is New York's turn, and London closes the night at 3:56 in the morning. Mercury is both the smallest planet and the closest to the Sun, yet surprisingly, it is not the hottest. That title belongs to Venus, whose thick atmosphere traps heat that Mercury, with almost no air, cannot hold. The Andromeda Galaxy is a pale oval smudge almost straight overhead tonight. Use the Great Square of Pegasus as a guide and hop along 2 stars to find our future galactic neighbor. Los Angeles and New York see the galaxy reach its highest point around 5:05 in the morning, while London keeps it visible all night at 4:35 in the morning. The TV series Andromeda, 2000-2005, built from unused story notes by Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry, follows the starship Andromeda Ascendant, named after this very galaxy. Saturn is a steady, unblinking golden point halfway up the southern sky in Pisces. Though fainter than Jupiter, its calm yellow glow makes it easy to spot with the naked eye. Los Angeles and New York see the planet reach its highest point exactly at 5:15 in the morning, followed by London peaking at 4:35 in the morning. In the Star Trek universe, the starship USS Titan, first commanded by William Riker and later flagship of the show, Star Trek, Picard, is named after Saturn's largest moon, Titan. Perseids meteors streak away from a point in Perseus, active now, and building to its peak in 13 days. Look high in the northern sky and keep your eyes moving off the radiant to spot the longest trails. Los Angeles, New York, and London all see the radiant reach its highest point around 4:35 in the morning, with each city keeping it above the horizon all night. The International Space Station makes the first crossing of the night. Observers standing on the narrow ground path see the satellite's silhouette cross the moon's illuminated disk, lasting only about 1 second. The ground path begins near Kadugu at 7:52 in the evening and ends south of Oyem at 8:55 in the evening. Tonight, 14 satellites are visible from land crossing in front of the moon's disk. The 6 shown here are the ones whose ground tracks run closest to towns and cities. The Hubble Space Telescope makes the second crossing of the night. This satellite begins its pass near Shortcut at 8:26 in the evening and ends north of Jayapura at 12:43 after midnight along the ground path. The International Space Station makes the third crossing of the night. This satellite crosses again, starting near El Vigia at 8:31 in the evening and finishing over the Amazon basin at 8:33 in the evening along the ground path. The Hubble Space Telescope makes the fourth crossing of the night. This satellite crosses again, beginning southwest of Tobruk at 8:35 in the evening and ending over the open Indian Ocean at 1:50 in the morning along the ground path. The Hubble Space Telescope makes the fifth crossing of the night. This satellite crosses again, starting southwest of Lafayette at 9:25 in the evening and finishing over the open Atlantic at 11:40 in the evening along the ground path. The Hubble Space Telescope makes the sixth and final crossing of the night. This satellite crosses again, beginning over the open Atlantic at 10:43 in the evening and ending south of Marca at 12:58 after midnight along the ground path. A total solar eclipse is coming soon. Follow for details. Thanks for watching. Come back tomorrow for another look at the night sky, and wish you clear skies.